Okay, so like everyone's been talking about, where did COVID come from, right? I mean, it feels like it's been years now.
Yeah.
And there are these two main camps, right?
Yep.
The lab leak people and then, uh, natural origin folks.
Mm.
And we've got this new CIA thing.
Yeah. The assessment.
Assessment. Yeah, and they're saying,
Well, they're saying more likely lab leak.
but
Low confidence.
low confidence, yeah.
Which is like, what does that even mean?
Yes. So that's why we're here today, to like deep dive into this whole thing.
That's right.
The CIA assessment.
Yeah.
So the CIA is saying lab leak, more likely.
More likely than natural, but not a slam dunk.
Right. And like you said, low confidence.
Yeah, and I think a good way to think about this is, imagine you're putting together a puzzle.
Okay.
And you've got some pieces.
Yeah.
But you're missing a bunch of pieces.
Right.
And the pieces you have don't quite fit together. You might have an idea of what the picture is, but you're not going to bet the house on it.
Right.
And that's kind of where they are with this.
So what are they missing then? What are some of the puzzle pieces that would, bump up that confidence?
Well, it's tough to say exactly what they have and what they don't have.
Sure.
But one thing that would help is more cooperation from China.
Right.
They've been pretty reluctant to share data.
Yeah. Makes you wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, especially since this assessment was requested by the Biden administration.
Right. Right.
But then it was declassified under the Trump administration.
Exactly.
Like, what's going on with the timing of all this?
Yeah, it's a very politically charged issue.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, let's not forget, we've got this history with China, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, they haven't exactly been transparent.
Not really, no.
So anyway, for anyone listening who maybe, hasn't been following this super closely,
Right.
let's just kind of lay out, like, what are the main theories here?
Okay, sounds good.
So we've got natural origin.
Right, so that's basically the idea that the virus was circulating in bats, and then it jumped to some intermediary animal.
Like what?
Well, they've talked about, a civet cat.
Okay.
Or a pangolin.
A pangolin.
Yeah, kind of like a scaly anteater.
I've seen pictures.
Yeah, so the idea is that humans got it from this intermediary animal at the market in Wuhan.
Right, that Wuhan market that everyone always talks about.
Exactly.
But, like, how do you even prove that?
It's really tough.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to find the exact animal that infected the first human.
Yeah, and, like, how long ago was that?
Years now.
Yeah, so good luck finding that animal.
It's like finding a needle in a haystack.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, we have the lab leak theory.
Right. So this theory is basically saying that the virus accidentally escaped from a lab in Wuhan.
The Wuhan Institute of Virology.
That's the one.
And I mean, they were studying bat coronaviruses there, right?
Exactly. And they were doing what's called gain-of-function research.
Gain of function.
Which is basically where you take a virus and you make it more dangerous.
On purpose.
On purpose in a lab setting.
Why would they do that?
Well, the idea is to try to get ahead of potential outbreaks.
Oh, so like to develop vaccines and stuff?
Exactly. But, obviously there's a risk involved.
Right. I mean, if it escapes.
Exactly. And that's what the lab leak theory is all about.
Yeah. So basically, we've got these two theories, and no one can really say for sure.
I mean, they both have their pros and cons.
Right.
And the evidence is just not clear-cut.
So what now?
Well, I mean, the CIA is saying they're going to keep investigating.
Okay.
And they're going to reevaluate if any new credible information comes to light.
So basically, we're just waiting?
Pretty much.
But in the meantime,
Yeah.
like this whole thing has gotten so political.
Absolutely.
And it seems like everyone has already made up their minds.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that, there's a difference between what you believe and what you can prove. And right now, we just don't have enough proof to say for sure one way or the other.
Yeah, and it's like, how much proof is enough proof? Right?
That's a good question.
It's like 2 years ago, the Department of Energy, they also said lab leak, more likely.
Yeah, with low confidence, though.
Right. Low confidence again.
Exactly. So it's not like they found a smoking gun or anything.
And even like John Ratcliffe, the former DNI,
Yeah.
he was like super convinced it was a lab leak.
Right, but he didn't really provide any concrete evidence.
Yeah, it was mostly just like his opinion.
Exactly. And, opinions are fine, but they're not the same as evidence.
Right.
So I think the takeaway here is that we need to be careful about jumping to conclusions.
Yeah.
And we need to keep an open mind.
So basically, more research.
Yeah, more research, more transparency from China.
Right.
And hopefully someday we'll have a more definitive answer.
Well, it definitely makes you think, though, right?
It does.
Like, how are we supposed to prevent the next pandemic
Yeah.
if we can't even figure out where this one came from?
It's a good question.
And, like, what does this mean for international collaboration on science and stuff?
Another good question.
Yeah, so like we may not have all the answers right now,
Not yet.
but it's definitely something we need to keep thinking about.
Absolutely.
So for everyone listening out there,
Mm-hmm.
like what do you think?
Yeah.
How do you think this whole thing's going to play out?
Yeah.
What does it mean for the future?
Big questions.
Yeah. But hey, that's why we do these deep dives, right?
That's right.
To get people thinking.
Exactly.
So thanks for listening, everyone. And yeah, keep those brains working.
Thanks for having me.
Well, of course.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Okay, we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.